Good morning, everybody. Rob Mazak here. Yes, I said good morning. Normally I do these at night, but I got up early, or I woke up early, was woken up early, had some breakfast, had some coffee, still have some coffee, and ready to talk about an interesting subject. It is Thursday, the 18th of April, coming to you from Crystal City, Texas. The subject I wanted to talk about today is, I guess it's more philosophical, a little bit of scientific, maybe some metaphysical. I don't know. It's all kind of put together as I usually do, unscripted, just going to talk. So the topic of the day is light and dark. The reason I want to talk about this, there's a couple reasons, but the main reason is that I was helping my stepson put together his English assignment, and they were able to choose their own topic. So we sat down and mashed out some things and helped them put that together. But his subject was light and dark, which is a very interesting subject for a teenager to put together or choose, I guess. However, he's a believer in all the things that I do as well. I'm a psychic and a medium and all them fun things. Anyway, I discovered or thought of some very interesting things when we put this together. So we wanted to do it where it was like a story. I guess that was the assignment. Like you're writing a play or something. So we put together like a couple of characters, gave some names to the light, gave some names to the darkness, then we just kind of rolled with it. And I discovered a couple of interesting thoughts as I was helping him with this. And some that I recently heard some other high-level researchers say the same thing. But if you listen to my podcast long enough, you'll know that, or you've probably heard that, where your attention goes, your energy goes. What you think about or what you're exposed to the most will start showing up in your life. And so, once again, as I talk about this kind of thing, and as I was helping my stepson, boom, it showed up. I'm trying to remember who the fellow was that talked about it. But he said it almost exactly the way I wanted to say it in my son's paper. So let's talk about light and dark. When we were talking about, or we made the character for light, it was more of a feminine character, which I guess in some ways makes some sense. And the way most people would probably perceive light and dark is, feminine and masculine, perhaps right and wrong, evil and good. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but very, very big contrast, right? And so when we were putting together the character for the feminine light, who was looking for her quote-unquote twin flame, which seems kind of ironic, right? Kind of clever. One of the things that really popped into my mind initially was, if you're looking for your twin flame, your soulmate, your partner that you go through life with, they are usually absolutely contrasting to you. Almost always they are totally opposite of what you are. And that makes sense because we get attracted to those things that we need help filling in the gaps for our life. And so obviously in this story, this light character would have been looking for the dark because it would be the absolute total opposite of light. Well, maybe not scientifically, but pretty doggone close, right? Because, and if you really break it down, there's probably different shades or different degrees of darkness, but regardless, we're looking at the stark contrast between dark and light. But one of the things that came to my mind as I was helping him with this was that something that's very light, something that's very bright, looking for darkness would be very difficult at best. It's almost as if you were looking for your cell phone with the flashlight on your cell phone. You'll never find it. In reality, it's always been with you. Interesting play there, huh? So you can imagine, character of light looking for her good old friend darkness. Hello, my old friend, right? Would never really ever see the darkness. The only way something that is light, or someone that is light, or some energy that is bright and light would ever see darkness is if they completely changed and went dark. They would have to completely change everything about themselves in order to truly experience and see dark, right? On the flip side of that, something that's truly light could never really go completely dark. So it seemed like in this story it was more like a Romeo and Juliet kind of story where they may have a great love for each other, for example, but they could never ever really truly be together. Although they could be together, they can't be together in the respect that we as humans look at as a relationship, or of any sort. In her I'll call it her, right? In her seeking the light, she did finally have a conversation with this darkness to see if there was any way that they could, quote unquote, be together and find their path through life together. And in the end, one of the things they discover is they've been traveling together, and they've been part of each other for eternity. However, the light described her life. So let me tell you about me. She says, I'm never at rest. Never at rest. I'm always full bore. I'm always at top speed, and my speed never changes. I'm going everywhere, every time, every second. I'm never allowed to rest. I'm moving to every corner of existence at 186,400 miles per second. One speed, no slower, no faster, always the same speed. Constant, constant, constant. Never stop, never rest. I am everybody's favorite part of existence. People love the light. People love me. But I feel like I'm just giving and I'm not receiving. I thought that was kind of interesting that we kind of came up with that. And then the darkness said, well, you know what? Let me tell you about me. I am just here. I exist. I don't move. I pervade every single thing. Every part of this existence has me embedded in it. It's like I just am. I don't go anywhere, but I go everywhere. I am absolutely still, and I don't have to do any effort, or not to put out any effort to be who I am, to do what I do, which is to bring darkness. For some reason that seemed a little more masculine. Hey, don't hate me, guys. It was interesting the different correlation between the two, and them realizing that in the end, that light can always overcome darkness. It doesn't matter even if it's the tiniest little spark in darkness, in a dark space, in a dark area, or just in general, can illuminate and overcome the darkness. If the light is bright enough, they will never, ever, ever see darkness. And on the flip side of that, you can't inject more darkness to overcome light. You just simply can't. There's no amount of darkness that can extinguish a light. And I think this is really kind of the basis of a lot of religions, a lot of theology, a lot of philosophy, where it talks about the fact that we are all a little bit of both of those. We're all a little bit of darkness, we're all a little bit of light. Because if we were all light, we would never rest. If we were all darkness, we would never explore. We have to be pieces and parts of everything. And if you look at, the laws of the universe and the way things work, at least that we've been taught, right? That darkness really is simply the absence of light. Darkness is something that is the base of existence. What makes, well, for lack of a better word, what makes life and makes things work like they should and have and to have beings and to have lives that pass through these existences, there must be light. We at base us humans anyway, at our base existence, we are simply light beings. I don't care how you break it down, we are energy. And energy can equate to light, I know, and maybe not directly, but indirectly, yes. So we are nothing but light beings. So when somebody asks me if I've ever had any experiences with evil or darkness or possession because of the things I do when I connect to the other side or to entities or whatever, I've told them, and now I have a little bit different spin on it, but I've told them I've never had that experience. I mean, I've spoken with Lucifer before. I did a podcast on that, on multiple occasions, or he's mostly spoken to me. It's not somebody, a go-to entity. But for me, it's just like another entity. So I'm not seeing it as like this biblical story, if you will. And I'm sure there's other stories in other religions about similar evil ones. I am not saying that there isn't evil out there. I'm just saying I don't experience it. And so, not tooting my own horn, I'm not saying I'm special. I'm not, anybody that's different than anybody else. But maybe my light is just shining too brightly for me to actually see darkness. If I were to go look for it, I'm not sure I could find it. It's kind of hard to find darkness by using a light to find darkness. It just seemed like an oxymoron, right? But the story really kind of went past this conversation that these two were having, and they both realized that neither one of them could really exist in what we would call a normal relationship. A man, a woman. Well, of course, that's not as normal today, but a relationship between two people, two entities in this case. In this case, also masculine and feminine. That they could never really be what they thought they could be. But they also realized, though, that they need each other. Because without the darkness to provide that base existence, the light has nowhere to move, right? For one, it's almost like the darkness supports our existence and our abilities to move around and to be who we want to be. And without the light, there would not be life. There would not be anybody existing in this darkness. So we have to work together. So once again, I would like to say, though, that we are parts. We all have dark parts. We all have light parts. And it's necessary. We can't be a complete being without having all aspects of existence within us. And if that's the case, then we must have some darkness within us. I'll tell you, if every person were entirely honest about what they think in their mind, whether they say it or not or act on it or not, we all have dark thoughts. All of us. Now I was going through my transformational journey, the initial 9 months of it. Oh my gosh, I realized just how dark my thoughts can be as I was journaling them without a filter. It almost made me cringe, and many nights of weeping, if you will, that I had that capability, just like all of us do, to have such dark thoughts. But once again, without the knowledge of the dark, we can't appreciate the light. And without the light, we can't appreciate the dark. It just goes hand in hand. There's just some things that have to be part of every being. I'm speaking mostly of humans because we have that the ability through consciousness to make choices and to think like we think. I'm sure animals are similar, but they don't have the same kind of programming that we do. Colleges and religions and all these different things and on and on. So they're dialed in a little different, but they still also have some darkness. I mean, for them to eat, they have to go kill, most of them, right? Obviously there's animals that eat plants, but even plants are alive. So, to eat, we all must kill. Let's think about that, right? Even if us humans, take for granted that there's a steak that we can go down the store and buy, that used to be an animal. That used to be an animal that was alive. And so someone had to kill that animal for us to have that on our table at home. So in all aspects, we are all somewhat dark. And we could argue that, for example, in the biblical text, it says that, animals were provided for us so that we could eat. Yes, I get that. But my point to it all is that we must have some dark sides of us. Otherwise, we won't survive. It's just not possible. But the real key, though, is to keep all of that in balance, right? Just like in the story with the light and the dark characters, they had to have some kind of balance. And they both had to realize that they support each other. And in order for each of them to do what they do, they needed both of them. And the same applies to humans. We must have both light and dark. And you can look at that a lot of ways. Anyway, I feel like that it was a really interesting project to help with. And then when I heard someone else say the same thing, gosh, I can't think of his name, but he said the very same thing, almost verbatim to what I had thought and helped my son write, that you cannot inject any more darkness into a situation. It's just simply impossible. Even the smallest spark of light can illuminate the dark. But we need a place for the light to exist. And that must be within the darkness. And, science is even realizing this, I think, a little bit more, because I do my fair share of reading and quote-unquote research into the quantum and all these things. And they are really diligently looking for what they consider the parts of the universe that we can't see, but they're labeling it as dark matter. Not light matter, dark matter. That, for example, the space that we think, or I think, for example, in my room that I'm in, that looks empty is not empty. What is there? Science is beginning to believe that it's just dark matter. And dark matter is, I believe, one of the things that the Hydro Collider, something like that. Anyway, the collider in Switzerland called CERN, that they are actually looking for dark matter as parts of their research. So science is very knowledgeable about that. Of course, they're putting it into different terms. I'm putting it into general terms. And, darkness is darkness. And some people might even challenge my thoughts here today by saying, well, if you have a light in a room or somewhere, why can't you just simply extinguish it by covering it with, say, put a box over it? Well, sure, that would make darkness happen outside of the box. But inside the box, guess what? The light's still shining. So a light can never really be extinguished completely, in my opinion. As long as there's beings in our reality, in our universe, our cosmos, whatever this is, you could argue that all day, there will always be light, because we are light. And we should act like it. We should realize that the brighter we shine, the more we can experience, the more we can see, the better humans we will become, and the better journey we will have, more knowledge we'll gain, all of that, right? I mean, what's that song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Why not? I mean, we are, several trillion volts of potential electricity. All the trillions of cells we have in our body have a small electrical charge. We have lots and lots of available electricity, which equates to energy, which equates to light. We can affect so much more than we believe we can. So if we look at things in that respect, that the best version of ourselves can be the things that help this reality, this humanity, to evolve and become more than just some meat suit, eating, sleeping, consuming, and dying, that we can actually do more. And we can do more than we think we can. But we're not turning on our, spidey powers, right? We're not turning on our potential. We are not allowing ourselves to shine like we should. We think that our little spark is good enough. We're going to get through life. We're going to pay our bills. We're going to have to take extra jobs, whatever. I get it. But there is more. There is more that we can do. We are just absolutely potential waiting to happen. And let's not allow the darkness to, I guess it can't overcome us, but you get my point. Let's not let the darkness bother us, because it's a necessity. We must recognize and accept the fact that us as humans are going to have that darkness, and we must have that. Because if we don't know what's wrong, we don't know what's right. If we don't know what's right, we don't know what's wrong. We must have knowledge of all of it. And without that knowledge, we can go on one tangent or the other. We could be a Mother Teresa, or we can be a serial killer. But we all would love to be that light of the world. At least I would. I can't say, let me backtrack. I'm not going to speak for everybody. But I think deep down, we would all like to affect this planet, this place, in a certain way or certain ways. And why not? We have the ability. Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we? Because I think most people don't realize just how magnificent and marvelous it is to be human and to be alive. In the simple fact that just the odds of being born, just the odds to be born are 400 trillion to 1. Come on, you are one of the chosen. I don't care how you look at it. You are one of the chosen, because those odds are incredible. I'm not making that up. That's science, right? I wish I was making that up because that's kind of cool, but I didn't. These are things that you can find everywhere. So why aren't we acting like we're a absolute marvel of existence, in that we have the capability to affect anyone and everyone? But the thing is, why aren't we doing it on purpose? Why aren't we doing it with absolute intent, instead of just affecting people with our bad attitudes, or allowing things to spill over into other people's lives that don't benefit them? It's a little bit of mindfulness, people. Mind what you're doing throughout the day. Kind of a pun there, right? Make sure you're paying attention to you and how you are interacting with the world, and give them your best. Don't give them your worst, because we have plenty of that. People love that dark side, it seems, or at least they have accepted it, and they're rolling with that. Even the fact that whether you might be a neutral person, you're not good and you're not bad, you're not saving the world, or you're not killing a bunch of people, doesn't mean you're living up to your potential. That's just surviving. That's not thriving. I suggest that you do your own research and look at just how marvelous this human body is. The fact that you're alive and you have the opportunity to have this experience. Based on the science, not a lot of people, not a lot of souls get incarnated. So, I think it's like, I want to say it's 100 billion people have walked this planet or something like that. And the interesting thing is, not one of us is exactly the same. Not one. So in your unique way, my unique way, we need to bring our gifts that we were given at birth to actually affect this reality like we're supposed to. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. But light and dark, right? Very, very contrasting, very necessary, very needed. And although it was a kind of a fun Romeo and Juliet story, it has a lot of relevance. So let's think about that. Realize who you are, and go out and shine like you know you can and you should. As always, I'm always interested in what you guys have to say or think about this particular podcast and the information. I encourage you guys to reach out to me. My website has my contact information. It's lifebymazak.com, lifebymazak.com. Find a way to contact me. Reach out to me. Let me know how you feel about it. Perhaps we can collaborate and see what our different experiences together can enhance. So I will be talking to you soon. I hope to hear from you soon as well. Stay strong and live your life.